Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The NBI says it has been tracking the alleged Chinese spy near the COMELEC office since April 24.
Nearly 19 million Filipino students who graduated from junior and senior high school in 2024 are not functionally literate, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority.
Suspended Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia vows to continue serving despite a suspension order from the Ombudsman.
And the government is hosting job fairs today in celebration of Labor Day.
First in the news, the College of Cardinals has urged the faithful to pray for them as they prepare for next week's conclave to elect the new pope. Here's the report.
The College of Cardinals has called on the Catholic faithful to pray for them as they prepare for the upcoming conclave to elect the next pope. The appeal was made following the conclusion of their 7th General Congregation in Rome. The Cardinals highlighted the critical need to listen to the Holy Spirit and requested the Blessed Virgin Mary's intercession to accompany the Church's prayers. According to Holy See Press Office Director Matteo Bruni, 180 cardinals attended the meeting, 124 of whom are electors. During the gathering, the cardinals discussed the Vatican's financial health, with Cardinal Reinhard Marx stressing the importance of sustainability in church finances to support ongoing papal reforms. 14 cardinals also spoke on pressing church issues such as polarization, synodality, vocations, and the unity of the people of God. The College of Cardinals confirmed that all 133 cardinal electors, regardless of the previous 120 limit, are eligible to vote in the conclave. They also acknowledged Cardinal Becciu's decision to withdraw, noting his intention to maintain church unity amid ongoing legal proceedings. The conclave is set to begin on May 7. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
Now let's get updates from Rome.
We have with us Father Earl Tan, student priest of Pontificio Collegio Filipino in Rome on Zoom. Father, good morning.
From the Philippines.
From the Philippines, of course.
Good morning from the Eternal City, from Rome, Angelo and Angela, and happy Labor Day.
Yes, that's right, Father. Let's get right to it, Father. Of course, we all know we are in the period of mourning and in transition towards the conclave. So what is the mood now that things are starting to settle down?
Well, since this is the church, so we continue saying the masses for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis, and today we're in the 5th day, and it will end on Sunday, since according to the rules of the church, after the funeral will be the first day of mourning up to 9 days. So we continue praying for the repose of Pope Francis, and well, of course, for the universal church.
Do you have also an update there? I'm sure we're also, informed that the conclave there, the cardinals there have vowed for silence, but do we have any updates on what's happening there?
Well, yes, they have vowed for, particularly for secrecy regarding the things that they're talking about, in preparation for the conclave. So this pre-conclave meetings or pre-conclave congregations helps the cardinals to set the mood. What are the present concerns of the church? A little bit of an evaluation of how the church was during the time of Pope Francis, and how would the church move forward after the death of Pope Francis.
Yes, well, Father, of course, alam ko naman, we're still miles away from the conclave, and but I'm sure among even on the Catholic faithful and the other priests, there are discussions of how you think ano yung kulang paggawin dapat natin sa church para palakasin pa natin ang Catholic faithful?
Well, kung tatanungin natin kung ano yung kulang, medyo malawak yan. Kasi imagine, 133 electors for 1.4 billion Catholics, Kaya Diverse yan.
That's
Diverse
right.
kasi iba-iba yung situation natin. Ibang situation ng Filipinos, Filipino Catholics. Iba yung situation sa China. Iba yung situation sa US. Iba yung situation sa Europe. No? So, medyo malawak yan. Kasi
Yes.
iba-iba yung sitwasyon natin. Kaya napakahalaga nitong pre-conclave congregations na tatawag or pre-conclave meetings para makita. No? Kaya mahalaga yung mga cardinals na well, isa sa kanila, eventually, possibly, magiging pope, makinig talaga doon sa mga
Oh.
That's right.
pinag-uusapan kasi things will matter pag naging pope
Kaya nga, I understand that,
isang
Father, that like, the church is very similar to world politics in a way. But kasi ang daming issues, could you imagine all your cardinal electors are representing different regions with different needs? Kasi you have a third world country, you have first world countries, di ba? But at the end of the day, let's put all aside, Father, yung race and regionality natin. And let's talk about, it's one issue that you think would bring the Catholic Church closer to everyone. And if they were to ask you, what would it be? What one issue, positive issue or a suggestion, what would it be?
well, it's about the kingdom of God. Beyond the politics and the temporal concerns, the church is seeking to go towards heaven.
That's
No?
right.
So the establishment of God's kingdom here on earth is, I guess, one of the most important, that Christ be known and all come to the knowledge of truth.
That's right, that's right.
Siguro, Father, enlighten us na lang po dun sa duties and responsibilities po ngayon ni Cardinal Tagle as part of the, yung mag-a-assist po sa Carmelengo while in the process po ng conclave.
Okay, so actually yung duties na nabanggit nyo, tatlo sila na napili by it's just to assist the Camerlengo for the things that kailangan mag-run before the conclave.
So,
No, so
more on
actually
like
3 days lang yun.
administrative duties.
So after 3
ganon.
days, they will select another one. So yan ay less of the simple things ng pagpapatakbo. Kasi syempre, bagamat namatay ang Pope, then yung mga co-terminus niya, wala. Like for example, Cardinal Tagle as the prefect of the propaganda fide. So
Yes.
nawala yun, no? Nawala yun ngayon. So lahat ng mga may position, maliban sa Camerlengo. So nag-a-assist lang sila sa ibang mga bagay na kailangang magpatuloy sa pagtakbo ng Vatican. And it's only for 3 days. So after nun,
Another-
mag-select ulit sila ng bago na mga cardinals ba handpicked to assist the Camerlengo.
Pero Father,
Ganun pala yun.
sorry Father, I'd like to ask na
Yeah,
i-verify
yeah.
ko. Pag nag-conclave na kasi, for example, are any of the cardinals allowed to serve a position while they're in conclave? Or kailangan galing sa non-electors ang magsaserve? For example,
Kasi ang magiging obligations ng mga cardinals pagdating ng conclave is to elect the new Bishop of Rome.
Yeah.
No? So, yun yung basically, yun yung concern nila na gagawin. So, well, dun sa process ng election, kung babasahin natin yung University Dominici Gregis na available naman no, sa internet,
Opo.
ang makikita lang doon na may functions ay yung magbabasa ng ballots, no? Na handpick din yan after a certain number of ballots. To check, no, to read sino tong mga binoto ng mga cardinals. So basically yun yung magiging task talaga ng mga cardinals at kung may appoint na sa certain functions. Yes.
So, in the meantime, Father, habang nagka-conclave sila, kasi we don't know how long it would take, no? Yung Carmelengo talaga
Yeah.
will just be the one to hold the fort.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the Camerlengo with the College of Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
O nga. Isa pa daw po na noteworthy, no, na significance na naiwan or nagawa ni Pope Francis is yung he made priority of appointing cardinals in the countries na wala pa before. such as Haiti, Rwanda, Myanmar, and that's the reason why daw medyo matatagalan daw po yung conclave dahil hindi pa magkakilala talaga yung mga cardinals. My question is, how significant is this, no, moving forward, na by doing this, do you think na mangyayari din ito in the future, na magtutuloy-tuloy itong sinasabi na inclusivity na iniwan sa atin ni Pope Francis?
Yeah. Hopefully, well, we're praying na magpatuloy yan. At saka ito yung role talaga ng yung pre-conclave congregations, no? Para magkakilala sila na yung atmosphere maging alam mo yon, yung talagang brotherly.
Yeah.
And actually it's not nothing kumbaga sabihin natin strange sa mukha ng simbahan, pero mas na-highlight ngayon yung inclusivity from like the traditional point na more of the Eurocentric kind of church na ngayon mas nabibigyan ng priority lahat talaga, lalo na yung mga nasa periphery ng simbahan.
Well, Father, usually kasi during when something, an event happens in the world, the church usually adds special prayers that are added to the Mass, no? Now, when the conclave begins, meron bang na-task sa mga priests sa inyo po, Father, na may dagdag na prayers to pray for the cardinals in the conclave?
Yeah, well, Angelo, if you're familiar, in the Mass, we have these prayers of the faithful after the homily. Actually, nagsimula na yan, na una yung for Pope Francis, then to add up, for the College of Cardinals. Then actually, bago yung sa first day, sa May 7, meron tayong tinatawag na Misa Pro Eligendo Romano Pontifice. No? So, Mass for the election of the Roman Pontiff. So mangyayari yon sa umaga sa St. Peter's, then sa hapon magkakaroon ng first ballot. No? Well, mapapanood natin yan sa live stream. No? At ini-encourage din dun sa document ni Pope John Paul II dun sa Universi Dominici Gregis na yung mga cardinals na non-electors na, lampas na ng 80 years old, na sana mag-participate sila sa mga prayers, sa mga basilicas o archbasilicas na may prayers o nag-gather ang mga faithful. So talagang it's also time to pray for the church. After all, we are electing not just a political leader, no? Hindi lang ganun but the Bishop of Rome, no?
Ako naman, Father, I wanna ask po yung Filipino community there. Kamusta po sila? And we all know naman, ang mga Pilipino, gaano po sila kalapit po sa kay Pope Francis. Kamusta po sila dyan ngayon?
Angela, yung katulad ng mga kababayan natin sa Pilipinas ay patuloy sila sa paglaban sa buhay, sa pagtatrabaho, sa ordinaryong, sa mga ordinaryong araw at nagsusumikap maging mabuting Kristiyano. No? So, syempre, excited din, sa kung sinong magiging bagong successor ni St. Peter, magiging bagong Santo Papa, ay in-encourage natin ang bawat isa na talagang ipagdasal kung ano ang kalooban ng Diyos.
Father, I understand from now until the end of the conclave, we're supposed to expect an influx of tourists from different parts of the world. Now, I've stayed in the Colegio Filipino when I was younger. Is the Colegio still open to Filipino travelers who want to visit the area where the conclave will be? Is it open for them to stay in?
Actually, the Pontificio Colegio Filipino is now a residence talaga for solely for priests, priests.
Okay.
So there will be may mga accommodations pa rin naman sa ibang lugar, pero for visits, like to attend mass or to just visit our Philippine college, it's always open since it's our home here in Rome.
Lastly, Father, I was wondering, can I ask how long have you been there in Rome? And kung meron din po kayong mga, kumbaga, personal encounters with the Pope before?
Yeah. So si Father Earl, well, I'm a priest from Cavite, from the Diocese of Imus. No, I'm from Silang, Cavite. I was just ordained last November 30, 2023. After 7 months, my bishop asked me, Bishop Ray Evangelista, to study here in Rome. So bagong-bago pa lang ako,
Bagong-bago.
8 months pa lang. At ang biruan nga namin, no parlo bene Italiano. No? So hindi pa ako magaling
Alam.
magsalita ng Italian. So, yung sa encounters as regards Pope Francis, well, naka-attend ako nung ilang mga public masses niya. I was able to celebrate, to assist in giving Holy Communion sa mga nagsisimba. So, masayang karanasan yon kasi syempre andito na rin tayo sa Rome,
Right.
ano, maganda na na-experience ko yung mga bagay na. So, talagang privilege na maranasan yung mga ganung bagay. Yeah.
All right, with that, thank you very much for your time, Father Earl Tan, student priest of Pontificio Colegio Filipino.
Now, in other news, the NBI reveals that seized devices from an alleged Chinese spy match the equipment used for data interception and recovery. Here's the report.
An NBI operation last Sunday supposedly caught Chinese national Tak Hoi Lao red-handed. He was arrested near the COMELEC headquarters in Intramuros, Manila, and in his car were hot items. There was an international mobile subscriber identity, or IMSI catcher, that can gather sensitive data and information, like text messages, mobile numbers, and calls from mobile phones near it. There were also cell phones, SIM cards, and other gadgets. On Wednesday, Tak underwent inquest before the Department of Justice. He is being charged for violation of the Espionage Act of 1941, as well as misuse of devices and illegal interception and system interference under the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Tak has since denied all these allegations. But for Senate Majority Leader Francis Tolentino, Tak's presence near the COMELEC office validates the findings of last week's Senate inquiry, which exposed efforts by China to meddle in the May elections.
Ang gusto nila manalo yung pro-China candidates. Ang gusto nila ma-repeal yung Maritime Zones Law. Ang gusto nila bumaba yung depensa natin at makuha nila ang Pilipinas at maging probinsya tayo ng China.
NBI spokesperson Ferdinand Lavin, meanwhile, told the big story that they have been monitoring the movements of Tak since April 24. Lavin added that devices recovered from the suspect were consistent with equipment used for data interception and recovery.
It's very possible na they're just obtaining or illegally accessing data. Hindi pa namin clearly ma-establish whether they are selling this data o kung sino yung end user nila kasi nilalabas nila ito. Ang klaro sa amin dito, pinapunta siya dito to take over the operations of a machine.
The palace, for its part, said it will defer to the Defense Department to summon Chinese Ambassador Wang Shilian on this matter.
That is an issue of national security, so we will just leave it at that. We will leave it at that, and we will just have an investigation, thorough investigation on that matter.
The COMELEC, meanwhile, assured the public that there is no election data in its headquarters.
And therefore, anong purpose? Yun ang gusto nating alamin. Kung ang impormasyon na gusto nilang makuha ay sa cellphone, sa text, o yung mga tawag, anong purpose? Para po magamit laban sa bawat isa? Para po gamitin para sa mind conditioning? Yan po yung gusto namin pong alamin. And therefore, maghihintay po kami ng report ng NBI sa kung pagkatapos nila magkaroon ng lab test o ng examination nung nakuha ng mga equipment.
Airport security personnel are no longer allowed to touch passengers' passports, according to the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA. Instead, travelers must personally hold and present their valid ID or travel documents during inspection. The new rule comes after a torn passport incident at an airline check-in counter in Terminal 3, though officials clarify that no NAIA security staff were involved. Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon said the policy aims to protect passengers and prevent travel disruptions caused by damaged documents.
Pagka merong reports na dinamage o may ginawang hindi tama ang ating mga airline representatives, napakabigat na parusa yan sa mga airlines at dun sa mga taong humahawak sa mga passport. Sa ngayon, wala pa kaming nakikitang proof na may modus. Pero syempre, hindi tayo pwedeng maging lax. No? Kailangan, iimbestigahan natin ang mabuti.
Tinatanong ko ngayon kung ano ba, may modus bang bago?
Kaya nga, well, with experience firsthand, hindi naman ito sa immigration or sa passports, but sa customs na they no longer hold your stuff, no? And before they open your bag, ikaw ang mag-aano sa kanila.
Open ng bag.
Ikaw maglalabas ng bagay. And then, yung kamay nila, ginagano nila yan.
Pinapakita nila.
Yung kamay nila. Nung tayo nag-experience when we went to Hong Kong kasi, dadaan sa scanner, tataas nila kamay nila, papabukas yung bag, may gloves, kasi papakita na walang laman, then they will take it
kasi
out.
nag-ping na meron akong, I forgot kasi to remove it, may scissors for my eyelash. Pero they allowed it naman din after
ang point
that.
dito yung, kasi yung issue sa Tanimbala before, naka-gloves sila, so they're showing wala akong hawak, they will look around and then put it back, then show again,
the hands
wala akong
free.
hawak, ganon. So what they're trying to do nila, Secretary Vince Dizon kasi, is avoid contact of a passenger's things with personnel from the airport para wala nang turuan kung may mangyari. Kasi may mga times naman wala rin namang ginagawa mga taga-airport. Pwede manisi yung passengers or vice versa may ginawa. So ito, walang naghawakan, malinaw na wala. Di ba? It's clear, klaro tayo. Parang
Yun
gano'n.
dun sa passport na gagawin nila. I think they're going to implement it as soon as possible. Para nga hindi na maulit yung nangyari doon sa yung the last time na may torn passport.
Incident.
Para kung halimbawa, merong sira dyan, may punit, may tupe, whatsoever, isa na lang ang sisisihin mo, yung sarili mo. Kasi hindi naman yan hinawakan ng personnel. So kung merong modus doon, yan ang hindi pa natin alam.
Kung paano sila kikita dyan, hindi ko alam.
Hindi natin alam. But yun nga, talagang mag-iingat tayo dun sa mga dalahin natin when we go to airport, and especially nga yung mga travel documents natin such as passports. Yan ang very important di ba? Sa pag-cross natin.
Kaya ginagawa natin bago bimahe, we take a picture of the maleta that is open, we take a picture of the maleta that is closed, di ba? Para meron tayo sariling pruweba during packing, ito ang nangyari. So kung may discrepancies, meron tayong di ba, hawak ng proof. Pero ngayon, wala na kasi masyadong contact. So medyo mas madali.
Alright. Tsaka ngayon, nagbago na sila yung dun sa carousel. Dati, di ba, parang iniitsa-itsa lang yung mga maleta natin. Doon sa carousel, you will see a monitor nakasplit into 4, iba't ibang angles, and you will see it na maingat nilang tinatransfer yung maleta natin from the airport to...
Before you move on, maingat nga nila tinatransfer, pero yung makina ang nandudura naman sa carousel. Ang lakas ng buga. Ang lakas ng buga.
Saka mabagal minsan.
Ang lakas ng buga ng makina sa maleta, umiikot-ikot nung kinuha ko yung
pero
luggage.
Pero pinapakita nila doon na nag-iingat na sila.
Pero sa Hong Kong to, sinasabi ko.
Dito sa NAIA, nakita ko naman nung going home tayo. Medyo maingat na
hindi.
sila.
Sa NAIA ever since, hindi man ganun kalala.
Sa ibang bansa kasi yung talagang
mag-alaga.
Alright, sige. In another news, a suspect links the son of Filipino-Chinese steel magnate Anson Ke to his father's killing. Marian Enriquez has the report.
It has been 3 weeks since Chinese businessman Anson Ke and his driver were found lifeless inside a nylon bag in Rodriguez, Rizal. They were tied up and their faces wrapped in duct tape. David Tan Liao was one of the 3 suspects arrested for the crime. And according to police, Liao is implicating the victim's very own son, Alvin Ke, in the kidnap murder case. At this point, the younger Ke is a respondent on the case. The Department of Justice has confirmed that a mastermind has been identified but refuses to point the finger at the businessman's child. DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla says the result of the investigation could be unexpected.
Looking at the other theories of the case, just to be fair to all the parties, nakuha na natin ang yung direct participants, pero inaayos lang yung mastermind tsaka motive. Give us around 20-25 days. It will be done. It might pull off a surprise. Baka kagulat-gulat ang lumabas.
The Movement for Restoration of Peace and Order was quick to condemn this finding. Founding Chair Teresita Ang C. asks police, why is the word of a notorious criminal the sole source of your evidence? Why did Alvin Ke become a person of interest only on the word of Liao, known kidnapper and gun for hire, responsible for the deaths of more than a dozen kidnapped victims? The PNP was quick to respond to this critic.
Hindi natin pinaniniwalaan lahat po ng statement ni David Tanliao. Maliban doon sa kanyang assertion, alleged siya meeting with the son and even the physical and even the calls, wala po siyang maipresent. We cannot discount the possibility that the David Tanliao is misleading the investigation to cover up for someone.
Still, Alvin Ke is not off the hook yet. He is fully cooperating with the probe and has even surrendered his phone for forensic examination. Meantime, Liao and his co-suspects Ricardo Austria and Raymart Catequista have gone through inquest proceedings. 2 other suspects are still at large, Jonin Lin and Wen Li Gong, who also goes by the alias Kelly Tan Lim. Kelly was said to have lured the victim Anson Ke to the suspects and has also figured in at least 8 kidnapping cases based on PNP records. Authorities are offering a 5 million peso bounty for her arrest. It also turned out that Liao's group has converted 200 million pesos in ransom money to cryptocurrency. Authorities are now looking into the accountability of casinos whose junket operations are being used by those involved in illegal drugs, human trafficking, and kidnapping.
Hindi bababa sa 50 katao ang pinagpasahan po nito using po yung junket operators po ng casino. At lahat po ng pinagdaanan po ng pera yan ay inimplead po natin sa kasong isinampa po natin at lahat po ng individual po na yon ay dadaan po sa preliminary investigation.
For News 5, I'm Marian Enriquez. We are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Suspended Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia refuses to step down while she appeals the Ombudsman decision. Here's a report.
I have decided to stay put in office and continue to serve as the governor of this great province of ours. And I am not stepping down.
Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia stands firm. She's not stepping down despite a 6-month suspension order from the Ombudsman. The order stems from a grave abuse of authority complaint filed against her. In May 2024, at the height of Cebu's water crisis, Garcia issued a special quarry permit to Shalom Construction Incorporated without the required environmental compliance certificate and other documents. Garcia denied the accusation, presenting a copy of the ECC from the DENR and insisting the project was legal. Her camp argued the initiative was approved by the provincial board, which declared Cebu in a state of calamity due to a water shortage. Garcia now plans to send a clarificatory query to the DILG regarding the suspension. She also questioned the timing of the order.
Public officials may not be suspended unless it is duly approved by the COMELEC. Whatever the motivations may be, I will not be perturbed. I will continue to serve the Cebuanos in the best possible way that I can within the bounds of law.
According to the COMELEC, no official may be suspended during election season without its approval. However, if the case involves corruption, the Ombudsman may act without COMELEC clearance.
Nearly 19 million Filipino students who graduated from junior and senior high school in 2024 are not functionally literate. This alarming data was presented by the Philippine Statistics Authority during a Senate hearing on education. Despite completing basic education, these students reportedly can't understand a simple story. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, chair of the Senate Basic Education Committee, expressed deep concern over the findings. The PSA denies functional literacy as the ability to read, write, compute, and comprehend. Only 79% of senior high graduates in 2024 meet this standard, leaving 21%, or about 1 in 5, without these essential skills.
That's a problem of basic education. Because paano sila nag-graduate nang hindi sila functional literate? Iba yung hindi pumasok eh. No? Iba rin yung pumasok ka but nakagraduate ka but you're not functional literate. DepEd should already be proactive in making sure that no one will graduate not being functional literate.
Now, to get insights regarding this matter, we have Professor Eleanor Barami, Hesari of UST College of Education, joining us via Zoom. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you both. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, we would like to know your reaction to the PSA's findings that nearly 19 million, million students or junior and senior high school graduates in 2024 are not functionally literate.
Yeah, actually, it's not really that new in terms of the report because it came out already in EDCOM 2. So it's surprising, but at the same time, not that surprising. This has been an issue ever since, and hence the EDCOM 2 report came out on this, and it really shows how foundational skills are really important. When it comes to the education of kids, it doesn't start in high school. It actually starts in early childhood. It starts when the kids are not in school yet. So this is a really big issue that we have to deal with in the education system.
So given that this is a big issue that's been happening and you have said since at least early childhood, how can we address this from both the side of the home and the side of the education sector?
I think first of all, we have to educate the parents. It's important for parents to realize that the school is not fully responsible for how your kids come out. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you are the first teachers of your kids, and we cannot blame the school system for everything that's happening. Although I do understand that eventually, the school does have to take responsibility for it. But at the end of the day, if what the school does isn't supported in the home, there's no way for the kids to really generalize their skills. And I think that's where the issue is coming from, the functional illiteracy. If the students can't apply what they're learning in school in all other areas of their lives, then whatever they're learning in school is going to be useless for them.
Yeah, but
Prof, I'd like to, in connection with that now, should we then consider the effect also early on of social media, given that aside from parents, social media parang ang nagiging magulang na rin ng mga bata. For this generation, I've seen it. A lot of children have lost interest in actual classroom learning settings because they've seen it already on TikTok, they've seen it na daw on Facebook or Instagram. So how do we factor in this component ng social media?
Yeah, the TikTok university system.
Correct, that's right.
Which is very much in trend nowadays.
Google University, Prof.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, how things have changed nowadays because of social media. And I think that's one of the things that also we have to educate our families and our parents with, that there are certain regulations when it comes to exposing children to gadgets and to technology. And the Philippine Society of Pediatrics has come up with those regulations at certain number of hours for children at certain ages. And so those regulations parents should be aware of that social media, technology, the television, internet isn't there to kind of babysit our kids.
Yeah.
At the end of it, it's still very different to have that interaction with your own child, interaction with people, because you're right. By the end of the day, when they start going to school, it's like school becomes something that's too boring for them because they've already seen it. And so, because social media and even what they see on television or on YouTube, it's very animated, and then when they come to class, it's like you have this person, and so to them it's like boring, it's like it's not as animated as what I see on TV, so why would I be interested in it? So I think it does make a lot of sense to start there, and I think it's important. Education of parents and families is really important.
Well, ma'am, I understand your point, na it is important yung relationship, of course, yung responsibility first ng parents and a child support system at home. But also what we are seeing right now is these 19 million students have already graduated, junior and senior high school. So do you think our education system also focuses more on compliance ng grades than actual learning? Kasi pumapasa sila gumraduate sila So if a certain student ay hindi nakakaintindi, bakit ko siya ipapasa?
Exactly. And I think that's also one of the biggest issue in the education system is that sometimes it's not just even compliance of grades or passing a test. It's like you come to class, then you get the grade. Sometimes it's not even, do we even check for understanding in their assessments. Sometimes it may not be even that. And then sometimes also the problem is maybe in some situations, students are taught to take a test. And so by the time they take a test, it's like they already know the answers. You know what I mean? Or like the tests are not really higher order thinking type of tests.
Yeah.
Questions na giveaway. Yung parang very very obvious, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't really encourage students to think critically and to think for themselves. Hence, you know, they come out as functional illiterates.
Yeah, that's why I'd like to ask that, no, Prof. I'm glad you mentioned that the higher order of thinking. I remember when I was in grade school, in younger days, there was a question that what are the components of a beef stew? And when I answered, I added another ingredient, tomato. My grade wasn't counted in the exam. That my mom had to contest this, saying, "Well, how could you fault him? Because that's the way he experienced his life with his grandparents. They put tomatoes in the beef stew." So the university I was in corrected that, and then they accepted my answer. So is it also the fault of the system that we are focused too much on giving kailangan ko na yung sagot, ano yung tinuro, instead of having the students' own interpretations on the matter?
Exactly. And even with subjects like, for example, math, right? Math is like such an exact science. It's like there's only one answer
That's
basically to a solution. But if you think about it, like how many times maybe in our experiences as students, how many times were we ever asked by your teacher, like, how did you get your answer?
That's
You
right.
know, like, show me how you got there. Because, I mean, even based on my experience coming from a very traditional education background, it's always like, give me the answer, period. Show me the solution, period. I was never really fully asked to explain how I got there.
That's right.
And so students won't fully understand the reasoning. So that's one of the things too, when you think about literacy, it's not just about writing, it's not just about reading. Literacy is about how do you express yourself? How do you show your critical thinking skills? How do you express that verbally? And how do you express that in written form? And so that is where the educational system is lacking. And I also think it has something to do with teacher education,
Right.
with how our teachers are trained. I do come from a teacher education background. That's basically the job that I've been doing for the longest time. And we kind of like have to update the way we teach our teachers,
Right.
our students who will be teachers. That it has to be treated in such a way, the education of teachers have to be treated in such a way that these are the new things that we have to address now. This is how we teach now. We can't teach the same way we were teaching 10 years ago. Our students are so different. Our
Yeah.
clientele is so different. So we can't be teaching however we were taught even.
That's right.
So that has to change.
And I think yun nga, no, in connection to what I asked you earlier about if this education system is more focused on grade compliance, and also yung sa university compliance sa DepEd, no, na o kailangan there's a certain passing grade na mailagay ang isang university. So in essence, yung nangyayari dun sa mga estudyante para makapag-comply doon sa certain passing grade ng isang university, ipapasa na lang yung estudyante kahit hindi naman deserving yung estudyante. That really happens, right? Kasi we are educators too, ma'am, no? And we can also see that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think, where we have to really look into the whole system itself.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen here. I've taught in other countries as well, and in some situations it does happen there too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what has to change, because again, we have to think about, like, what do we expect our students in terms of expectations and in terms of competencies? Where do we want our students to be? And the big issue here is the PSA, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, we always would go back to the PSA, even if it's international standards. But that's the thing, like, that is what those are the expectations that we have to meet, because at the end of the day, our students should come out of the system ready for life. And when you say ready for life, you're talking about not just job compliance, but you're talking about, like, how do they live their lives and how do those skills and competencies affect the way they live, like quality of life at the end of the day.
Oo. And then also, the PSA studies is based on the 2024 graduated students. So, ibig sabihin po ba nito, can we categorically say na yung matatag curriculum and the catch-up Fridays were not effective programs?
It's difficult to say, honestly, because with Matatag, they did a pilot last academic year. But I don't know if DepEd had come up with the results of that pilot. Because when you do a pilot, you should have results,
Yeah.
right? And I haven't seen or read any results of that. And so we really don't know. Like, we really wouldn't know the full extent of the success of a curriculum until you have an entire kind of like graduated students who have graduated finishing that entire curriculum. Like, for example, with K to 12. K to 12 started in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And then yung full extent na yung nag-start talaga ng K to 12 na kindergarten. So yun yung gusto sana natin makita. But then again, prematurely, the Matatag curriculum was withheld. So for now, it's going to be something different again. And again, to see the full extent of the effectivity of a curriculum, you have to wait for a couple of years. Hindi natin masasabi na effective siya or not effective siya after
In a
just a
short span
pilot
of
or
time.
after just one school year of implementation.
Right.
All right. With that, thank you very much for your time, Professor Eleanor Barami Hassari, for your insights.
Thank you again. Now, in other news, the Office of the Prosecutor has issued a summons to Vice President Sara Duterte in connection with a case filed by the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI. This was confirmed by the Vice President herself. In February, the NBI filed charges of grave threat and inciting to sedition against Duterte before the Department of Justice. The case stems from her statement that she had contracted someone to assassinate President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Marcos, and Speaker Martin Romualdez if she were to be killed first. Prosecutor General Richard Fadullon said the preliminary investigation on the charges has been set for May 9 and 16.
Ako man ay naka-receive din kanina ng summons sa Office of the Prosecutor sa final ng National Bureau of Investigation na kaso laban sa akin.
Don't go away. We're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Now, the government is hosting job fairs today in celebration of Labor Day. For more details, we have mobile journalist Merrimon Reyes. Merrimon, kamusta na? Madami na bang nag-a-apply dyan sa job fair?
Magandang araw sa inyo. So far, para sa pagunita ng 123rd na Labor Day o araw ng manggagawa dito, ang DOLE, kasama ang peso ng LGUs tsaka ng TESDA, nagsasagawa sila ng job fair simultaneously. So hindi lang dito sa SMX sa Pasay, dito sa likuran ko, dyan yung mga nakahold yung ibang sa mga applicants or job seekers, at nandun sa likuran yung nasa 100 na companies or employers. Ang nakita natin, over 750 kasi ang nag-confirm na employers na magpa-participate dito sa simultaneous na job fair. And so far, ito kasi isa rin sa paraan para hindi lang magunita yung Labor Day but to also address yung unemployment rate natin sa bansa. And so far, based kasi sa Labor Force Survey nitong February, almost 2 million yung bilang ng unemployed nating mga Pilipino. So hopefully sa pamamagitan nga nitong job fair, at kanina nga lang umikot dito si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos para makita at makausap yung ilan sa mga employers, hopefully mabigyan na ng job orders o job opportunities itong ating mga unemployed na mga kapatid. So from hotel management, restaurants, derma clinics, even ang Department of Health, communications, technology, from production, media officers, IT relations, lahat-lahat na ay may mga job openings dito at marami na rin ang hired on the spot. So ibig sabihin, hindi lang basta-basta sila makakapag-apply, mag-undergo din sila ng interview, magpapasa rin ang kanilang mga requirements, at kapag maganda ang naging shot nila sa kanilang application, dito pa lang pwede na silang umalis na meron na silang papasukin na trabaho sa susunod na araw o linggo.
Pero meron mo, madami rin nagtatanong, no, if yung job fairs ngayon daw, also catering to OFWs? Mga gusto mag-abroad, kung gusto mo mag-OFW, may mga opportunity pa dyan o iba yon?
Ayon sa Department of Migrant Workers, merong 11 recruitment agencies dito na nag-o-offer ng over 4,000 na job orders for sea-based and land-based workers.
Okay.
So para sa mga may gusto dito na magtrabaho, potentially overseas, may shot sila para dito. At para rin doon sa mga job seekers o applicants na baka ngayon lang nila narinig, so ngayon pa lang nila may isipan na pumunta dito, meron din namang mga one-stop na government services na nakapwesto, for example, dito para kumukuha sila ng kanilang NBI clearance, police clearance, ng kanilang PhilSys ID, even Senomar kung sakaling kakailanganin nila nito, PhilHealth, at iba pang possible na requirements na hahanapin. Pero usually, bukod dito sa government documents na hinahanap, maganda rin daw na maging handa. Mas maganda kung meron na silang CV, kung meron man silang resume, lalong-lalo na kung alam naman nila na yung hinahanap nilang trabaho, makikita nila na merong employer dito mismo sa job fair.
Maryman, I'm curious, kung meron bang mga companies dyan ngayon ang tumatanggap ng mga K-12 graduates? Kasi yun ang big issue ngayon, diba? Na walang tumatanggap daw sa mga K-12 graduates.
Yes, Angela. Kanina nabanggit sa atin na may ine-expect daw sila na over 750 na mga estudyante. Kasi bukod dito sa mga employers, may kasama rin nila dito in partnership ang TESDA. And ang TESDA, bukod sa meron silang booth doon sa may far corner ng lugar ng convention hall na ito, open din sila for applications. And since alam naman natin by nature si TESDA, open talaga siya whether or not may mataas ka na educational attainment or nakapagtapos ka o gusto mo lang ng certification programs, bukas sila para talaga sa mga may gustong magkaroon ng job experience o ng kanilang job opportunity sa mga susunod na araw o susunod na mga taon. Pero para sa iba ng mga kapatid natin dyan, ng mga estudyante pa lang, maganda rin daw na sumubok na dito at makapag-apply kasi depende sa employer, depende doon sa position na gusto nilang pasukin, mayroon dito ang kanilang, may job opportunity sila dito. At yung isa sa mga nakita natin na hired on the spot, estudyante siya at ang nakuha niya ay production officer.
Meron kasi, sa mga na-late na gising, no, at hahabol dyan, may cut-off ba ang mga lines? Kasi usually sa ibang job fair, pag hindi Labor Day, may mga cut-off up to 6 o'clock, pwede ka mag-apply. Pag lumampas ka, pumunta ka na lang daw sa office. So ano yung oras na cut-off dyan? And gaano kadami ngayon ang ma-expect ng tao in the afternoon?
Yes, Angelo. So far, ang nasabi sa atin, open ito as early as kanina 6 a.m. Pero nag-start talaga yung pagpapapasok sa mga job seekers around 9 a.m. kasi mas kumpleto na yung mga nakapwesto na employers sa kanilang mga booth. And they will run until 5 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. Pero nilinaw nila na kung sakaling meron parang mga hahabol, open naman daw sila i-extend yung oras ng job fair na ito. Pero itong specifically yung job fair ni Dole, ngayong May 1 lang daw siya gagawin. Pero kung sakali naman daw na maisipan na mag-extend pa ng job fair sa mga susunod na araw, mas maganda umantabay na lang daw sa mga anunsyo ng kanilang opisina. Pero bukod dito sa Pasay, since simultaneous itong job fair across Metro Manila, babagatin ko lang din. Dito sa SMX Pasay, maaaring pumunta. Kung iba naman ibang mga kapatid natin, pwede sila pumunta sa Manila Science High School, MIC Center sa Quezon City, Vista Mall Taguig, SM Sukat Parañaque, Robinson's Place at SM Las Piñas. Even sa Caloocan, sa SM Grand Central, may job fair doon. Robinson's Metro East Pasig, Pateros Municipal Hall, SM City Marikina at SM City East Ortigas. So para sa mga kapatid natin na gusto pang humabol sa job fair ngayong araw, mayroon din namang malalapit na nakapwesto rin dyan at pwede nilang puntahan. Libre ang registration.
Meron mo, nabanggit mo kanina yung mga industries na nandyan. Ang question din, how about positions? Meron bang mga pwedeng mag-apply dyan na managerial positions?
Yes, meron. Depende talaga yan dun sa company na nakalagay dito. So mula sa mga assistants, sa mga coordinators, hanggang sa mga managerial and administrative roles, may mga nakabukas talagang posisyon dito. So syempre, kung may mga pupunta na raw dito, dalhin mo na raw yung pinaka-best presentable self mo as a job seeker.
Ayun. So, siyempre nandun tayo sa inclusivity, Meron ba tayo mga job opportunities for the PWD, senior citizens?
Yes, marami. Lalong-lalo na hinihikayat nila yung mga pagsali sa, for example, doon sa TESDA courses, nakita natin meron doon for robotics, animations, graphics artists, and maraming iba pa, even ang AI ngayon, yung pag-software engineering na to, lahat kompleto na rin talaga dito. So lahat open sila to compromise, open sila sa lahat ng mga kapatid natin, at kung ano pa yung mga job opportunities na maaari nilang pasukin, welcome na welcome dito ang lahat.
Alright, maraming salamat sa ating mobile journal, Marymon Reyes.
The MVP Group has officially thrown its full support behind the country's historic hosting of the 2025 FIVB Volleyball Men's World Championship. Chairman Manuel V. Pangilinan and PNVF President Ramon Tat Susara sealed the landmark partnership on Monday. This marks another world-class collaboration after co-hosting the FIBA Basketball World Cup in 2023. The 2025 FIVB Volleyball Men's World Championship is set for September 12 to 28 next year. This is the first time the global event will be staged on Philippine soil. PLDT will provide broadband connectivity as the official internet partner, while Signal TV handles broadcast duties to bring the action to fans nationwide.
Now, the De La Salle Lady Spikers clinched the second seed in a twice-to-beat advantage in the UAAP Season 87 Women's Volleyball Final Four after defeating the UST Golden Tigresses in their playoff match. La Salle dropped the first set but rallied to win the next three in a tight four-setter, 23-25, 25-20, 30-28, 29-27. Angel Canino starred with 24 points, 12 receptions, and 10 digs, while Shevana Laput added 22 points. La Salle and UST face off again in the semis on Saturday, with UST needing 2 wins to advance.
Alright, Labor Day, no?
Yes, araw ng ating mga uring manggagawa.
Sa mga nagtatrabaho day in, day out, maraming salamat.
At libre ang LRT, MRT, pamasahe ka.
Go na, kahit wala akong puntahan, mag-round trip na kayo. Alright, go ahead.
Sabi ko lang, it's time for them to rest today, ang ating mga uring manggagawa. And of course, yung mga protest nila, yung mga rally nila, yung mga hinihingi nila, yung aumento sa sahod.
Yung iba nagpo-protest, yung iba na may trabaho na, pumunta na ng job fair. Baka may ibang trabaho mahanap daw. Alright, before we guys let you go this morning, I'd like to leave a quote. Labor Day is a tribute to the strength, skill, and spirit of those who turn effort into progress. One day, one dream, one job at a time. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angelo Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.